Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome to another edition right here on Muslim Network TV. I'm your host, Mohammed Maxwell Hassan. Yes, my middle name is Maxwell. And for today's conversation, it's going to be something that we may be interacting with on a daily basis, but we don't think about it all too much. You see, cybersecurity is something that is prevalent in society. But how many times have you actually thought about it? When was the last time you actually took your cybersecurity to the next level? And not only that, let's say for those of you out there who really are interested in apps or software development, for those of you out there who really want to, sink your teeth into that field, what are the steps? Where do you go? What's the whole situation like? And so with us here today, we got two very, very special co-guests to shed some light on these topics. We have brother Kabeer Moolana. Kabeer is a recent computer science graduate from the University of Toronto, pursuing a career in software development. He's very, very passionate about this field and keeps himself on top of the industry news and trends by learning the newest and most in-demand skills, such as cloud solution architecture on AWS. Look at that cutting edge stuff. He currently works as a freelancer and has a few software development projects now. Fun fact about him is that he recently started running and he's training to run a 10K marathon soon. Well, good luck with that, Kabeer. I'm sure you're going to run like the wind with those 10K. I mean, all the best fun, man. Can you imagine? Someone in the software development field bolting for success. Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
We also have Sister Sameeyn here. Sister Sameeyn is a cybersecurity consultant, and she protects organizations against cyber crimes. Look at that, as her superhero. As a consultant, she takes on various projects like training teams to be more aware of cyber threats and attacks, analyzing the security posture of an organization, running vulnerability assessments, and assisting organizations to reduce their chances of a cyber attack. She started marketing during her undergrad and holds not one, but two cybersecurity certifications now. She hopes to continue to pursue and strengthen her skills in this field. The world of cybersecurity is constantly evolving, and she stays up to date by continuing to learn daily, taking initiative to stay a step ahead of attackers, and by collaborating with others in the industry. We got to stay safe, but thank you so much, Sister Sameeyn, for joining us as well, keeping things all safe and secure. So with that, as always, ladies first, and for those viewers out there, if this is your first time tuning in, one of my personal favorite things is always to dive into the personal stories. It's always a fun thing to know about how the field or the guests arrived where they were. So Sister Sameeyn, ladies first, how did you end up in the whole field of cybersecurity? What was that career path like? I'm sure there was many twists and turns. Feel free to share. How did you end up in the cybersecurity world?
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mohammed. Thank you for having me on the show today. Originally, I'm a digital marketer, and as my daily job, I was constantly observing consumer behaviors online and their online activities, what consumers do on social media, and activities that could lead to, cyber criminals, lead to cyber attacks, basically. I'm a huge advocate for social media, but a couple years ago, there was a rise in social media cyber attacks, and it became a playground for criminals. There was a lot of criminal activity taking place on these online platforms, and that was very concerning to me. And I really feel a strong need to protect the vulnerable population, which is, teens, youth, our elders, who are often targeted by these, cyber criminals, by these cyber attacks. And that is when I started to self-learn and really became more involved with cybersecurity. I started transitioning my digital clients to more cybersecurity services. For example, I started to create strong password policies for them. I started to, monitor their logs and make sure there's not suspicious activity going on. And then about a year ago, I came across this lovely program through Ryerson University called the Roger Cybersecure Catalyst program. And that was an amazing program because it allowed me to have that education that I missed during my undergrad. And I got 2 certifications, and that is how I entered this journey.
Oh, look at that. So in protection of those, and like I like how you mentioned it's a playground for, unfortunately, for
Yeah.
those malicious attackers, and especially with COVID-19, everything is shifted
Yes.
online. It's gotten even probably exponentially worse, and so it's really important to tighten up those loose ends and to become literate in the whole online cybersecurity world. So thank you very much to me. We're going to dive a bit more into this for sure and unpack this, but let's take it to Brother Kabeer. Talk to us, man. How did you end up in the whole software development world? What's your story like?
So I first started out in high school by taking a very basic introductory course to Java programming, and grade 11, I actually really enjoyed it, and it was fun. But I never thought it would be something I'd really get into. It was just a course that I took, and then fast forward 2 years later when I'm at UTM, and so I joined UTM in the math program because I really enjoyed math, and but for the math program you need to take computer science and statistics courses as well. So as I was doing my computer science courses, I really started to enjoy programming, and my problem solving skills and my analytical thinking really helped me excel in that field as well. So at that point, I decided to actually move towards computer science. So my second, third, and fourth year were more computer science based, and I was taking more computer science based specific courses. For example, in my second year, I took a software design course, and actually in that course, we had a project where we had to create the Paint application, like Microsoft Paint. I honestly really enjoyed that. It was amazing, like being able to customize everything. Like literally, like we had to like decide what to add, what not to add. Like we have like a feature where you can draw a circle, a square, or rectangle. So it was really cool. I love the whole user interface, user experience side of that. But what I enjoyed more was actually the coding side. So we really had to make the code very efficient because it was a huge code database. So we really had to like use a lot of software design and software development patterns and stuff like that to make the code more efficient and easy to read. And at that point, I knew I loved it. I love software engineering and software development. So going forward, I started like trying to like learn more about that and get better at that. And recently, after I've graduated, I've done some contract work where I've actually worked with APIs and software development and stuff like that. It's honestly really interesting, and doing my own personal projects. That's what really broadened my scope, and it's really nice. I really learned a lot doing it myself. So yeah, that's my story and how I got into it.
Mashallah, man, you're a rare breed when you say that you enjoy coding, right? And you enjoy math. Like that's something that people would run away from, but at the same time you run towards it. Man, Kabeer, that's interesting. But it's great to see as well that sometimes in the pursuit, I believe you said math was your initial area of study, but when you take other courses along the way, you find your true love that way with electives or whatever, what have you. So it's great. I'm glad to hear that you found that pathway. And the other thing as well to keep in mind for the viewers here is that it looks like software development and cybersecurity are two sides of the same coin. We're going to bounce back and forth between the two, and they complement each other very well. So it's going to be fun having this like two-sided conversation from tackling it from different angles. So let's take it back to Sister Sameeyn. Now, cybersecurity, what is it exactly? And in your opinion, just based on your own experience and observations, what would you say are like the general trends within this is a Muslim show, like for the youth, what are some trends or observations that you've noticed in terms of how Muslim youth look at cybersecurity and like what are maybe some common behaviors? What's your overall take on cybersecurity and youth?
Yeah, so I wish that youth would take cybersecurity more seriously than they do take it. A lot of times in conversation, the youth will say, "Oh, I don't care if a hacker hacks my account. What do I have to lose? Like, I'm not a celebrity." Or the other coin is like, "I'm not a celebrity. Nobody is going to, hack my account." But that's a misconception because hackers will literally attack anybody that's vulnerable and any weak link they can find. They're going to attack and exploit it. And I feel like we should really care more about our data and our privacy, because these are things that we will not be openly sharing with the world, right? So we want to protect that, and we want to be more careful about how we're sharing it, what we're sharing. The second thing that the Muslim youth, they believe that a lot of people believe that cybersecurity is an industry that is just for men and females should not, enter it, or there's no room for females in that industry, which is far from the truth. Unfortunately, because of stereotypes like these for many, many years, cybersecurity is a male dominated industry, but we definitely need more females in the industry. We need more diversity. We need more people of color. We need more Muslim youth to, take this industry more seriously, to consider careers and to, take it more seriously.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I mean, it's not wonderful that a lot of youth are
Yeah.
not taking it seriously, but okay, but can you maybe, for those who've never heard it, maybe we kind of get an idea. Could you define what cybersecurity is? Is it just like protecting your passwords? Is it
Yeah.
like what would you say? How would you define
So
what cybersecurity is?
cybersecurity is a huge, huge area. It's basically, if I had to describe it, it's the protection of networks and infrastructures, which is a network and infrastructure is really what makes up everything that we're doing right now. So the internet is a huge infrastructure, right? And we have all of these protocols that allow us to communicate, that allow us to, utilize technology, that allow us to be on social media. That's all in infrastructure. It's all in network. And cybersecurity is the protection and security of that. A lot of times it's often considered that it's just a protection of social media accounts, but that's just password protection, right? So that it encompasses everything. And there's different areas in cybersecurity. There's forensics, and forensics is, memory analysis. It's used in a lot of, when you get a criminal, forensic specialists will look at their phones, will look at their laptop devices. It's the breakdown and it's the analysis of what's going on. There's penetration testing. Penetration testing is also known as ethical hacking. It's when a good hacker will help a company test their network, and they will hack it for them to see what vulnerabilities exist that they can patch so that a bad hacker cannot exploit those vulnerabilities. Then there's also OSINT, which is open source intelligence, which is a lot of information is readily available online, and that's how hackers are able to, get all this information and get into the network. So it's, how can we mitigate and protect the information that's available online? Um, there is networking, which is how everything comes together, and protection. So there's like, setting up firewalls and making sure that all of these things are flowing properly. So it's a huge, huge area. And I cannot do it enough justice in 45 minutes of explaining what it is.
Wow, so it's like
Yeah.
a sea with a bottomless pit, like it's
Yeah.
really goes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, at least yeah, it's a good idea to. It's not just I gotta secure my password. It's a lot more
No.
than that for cybersecurity. So your laptops, for those of you tuning in, your laptops, your phones, your anything. I mean, the internet's one thing, and it encompasses so many. Just want to make sure that you're protected, and we'll dive a bit more into that as well in terms of what are some common things that maybe you've seen. But let's take it over to Kabeer for a second now. What are your observations in terms of the software development world? How do Muslim youth look at it? What are the trends that you see? I mean, 2020 is the year of uncertainty, that's for sure. So what would you say are some things that are out there that, in your opinion, are noteworthy to mention in terms of how software development is progressing?
Well, like this world is like rapidly going towards becoming a more technologically advanced world every single day, especially with COVID. Muslims are booking Jummah prayers online now, right? People are getting married online, finding a spouse are online now, right? Like through, like, I know Isnad as a website where they have matrimonial service. So for sure, like Muslims definitely need to go into software development, and we also need to be part of the change, because like it's an like I said, it's always like the world is getting more technologically based, right? So if Muslims can jump on that bandwagon and help lead that, it's definitely a positive. And not enough, like in my program when I went there, there wasn't a lot of people of like of brown descent. Not to say that other people aren't Muslims or anything like that, but just saying it's very, software development is all around the world. Like masjids everywhere in the world, you're going to be using some kind of like software development, software engineering team. Like every industry in the world, it's gonna need some kind of software development or software engineering.
I hear you. So, can you maybe comment based on your experience? You know how TikTok's really like skyrocketed. It's an app, and
Yeah.
like we use it every day. Is there anything in particular that you're noticing in terms of how a lot of the youth are interacting with apps these days? Is there any sort of, is it more like, it used to be Vine, now it's TikTok. Is it like, is that the trend? It's like where people or youth they tend to gravitate towards social challenges, fun-filled entertainment. Is that where software development is going, or is it more geared towards other things? How do you like take that in?
Well, yeah, like social media is always like a big part of software development, software engineers. Some of the biggest software development companies, software engineer companies are like social media companies. And yeah, like the youth do interact with apps like here and there, like, but they're not really building apps, and that's what software development is all about. Like actually going behind the scenes of the app and creating an app for yourself and for other people to use. So people like going on social media, going from this app to that app. It's more like the marketing side, or something like that. Like sorry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I hear what you're saying in terms of like I like how you're mentioning that so many people, it sounds like they're more consumers rather than producers. Is that accurate?
exactly. Yeah,
They
that's
wanna
that's
they
the point
wanna
I want
take
to.
they wanna take in a lot of stuff, but they don't wanna actually build this thing. Like I said, you're a rare breed,
Exactly.
Kabeer, man. Like not everyone looks at a line of code, or with a smile. All right, it's really, sometimes it's something else, right? But
For sure.
maybe could you maybe just to unpack this a little bit, could you walk
Sure.
us through why is it such a rarity for a lot of people to go behind the scenes in code? I know I'm kind of poking at it a little, but what is it
Yeah.
what, like, could you paint a picture, like just as how Sameeyn kind of briefly encompassed what cybersecurity is? Could you like paint a picture for anyone who has no idea what software development's about? How would you paint that picture?
Well, okay, for sure. Well, to answer your first question, where like why people don't really go behind the scene, it really takes a particular person, in my opinion, to go into programming. A lot of people go into computer science nowadays, but the thing with computer science, it's so broad. It encompasses so many different fields. Cybersecurity is under actually computer science. Software development is a stream of computer science. There's so many different types. So it really takes a specific person, like someone who really can like sit down at their computer and work on a problem for 1 hour, for 2 hours. Sometimes, like in my undergrad, when I was doing assignments, I would literally be on my computer looking up a problem for like 1 or 2 days, right? Because I needed to get it done. So I'm sure, like, and even for my freelancing, sometimes I would have to spend hours, like sleepless nights, just looking for the solution to a problem. So it really like takes a particular person to be able to code and have those problem solving skills and skills. And and you really have to be creative too in your solution sometimes, because sometimes like you can make something that works, but it's really slow, so it's not really practical to use in the real world. So yeah, like it's really that's why I feel like a lot of people don't go into programming. They go into like other stuff, like for example, Sameeyn went into cybersecurity, or user interface, user experience, something like that.
No, not knocking on you. Don't worry. It takes a certain kind of person, so it's like not everyone's cup of tea. That's awesome, but
Yeah, exactly.
okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Let's take it back to Sameeyn now. Let's unpack a bit more of let's unpack more of the practical side of things. Let's say a viewer's watching us saying, "All right, I kind of get a little gist of what cybersecurity is. Yeah, it's this big thing, and it encompasses so many different things. But what are some practical things maybe that, let's say, Muslim youth can implement today in their own? Let's just take an average individual with a laptop, with a phone, and they have their day-to-day, let's say a teenager or a college/university student. What are some things that they can start doing today to keep their antennas up and watch out for any red flags? Are there any tips or things like that that you'd be willing to offer to have them take a look at?
Yeah, for sure. So what is called social engineering, and that is the art of tricking people and misguiding them to do something that a hacker wants, or that a cyber criminal wants to, in the end, place a malicious software or get a backdoor into their device. And that is something that, a lot of times we think that, oh, we're going to be able to spot a scam really easily, but it's not, because majority of these attacks, they start off with by social engineering, or phishing attacks, it's also known. And that is by, what an attacker will do is they will misguide you. They will send you an email that looks completely legitimate, and you might have seen them. You could sometimes, they will not do a very good job. You could tell an email is a scam just by looking at it. But then there's some emails that are very much crafted. The cyber criminal will go out of their way. They're going to, research more about you. They'll go on your social media, and because you have openly provided that information, they're going to say, I know Sameeyn. Sameeyn loves, Sameeyn is into cybersecurity. She must be looking for a cybersecurity job. So I'm going to craft a special email for Sameeyn. I'm going to say, Sameeyn, I see that you have 2 cybersecurity certifications, and I'm hiring for this company, and I would love to speak to you, and I would love to hire you at this company. And then, what happens is that, because they have crafted a message and they've targeted you, you feel like, okay, this is not a scam. You will reach out back to them. And actually, because of COVID, a lot of these attacks have been taking place. And what happens is they will do everything, like they will interview you. In the end, they're going to send you some paperwork, and they're going to ask you for your banking information, your SIN card information, everything. You're going to say, I have a job. I have a great job offer. This is a potential employer. You're going to send back your documents. They're going to have your SIN information, your bank information, and that gives them, ability to commit credit card fraud, identity theft. It opens up a lot of doors. They have all your personal data. So I guess from telling this, like painting this picture, what I'm trying to say is you have to be very, very cautious, because cyber criminals are getting very creative. They are not just sending those generic emails now. They're crafting emails personalized to you. They understand what you want, who you are, by all of that information that you are sharing online. So you're willingly giving away a lot of information, knowing in that if it comes in the wrong hands, what the implications could be. So my advice to youth would be to, be very, very careful with what you share online. And just be very careful with what you're sharing, protect your data, and be very cautious. Another tip I would like to give all youth is that there's a misconception that all apps on the Play Store, on the App Store, they're secure and safe. And, we are constantly downloading apps. Apps make our lives easier. They allow us to be more productive for whatever reason, for entertainment. All of the apps are not secure. A lot of apps have been found to be malicious. and they create what's known as a backdoor into your phone. So basically, the app will function normally. Let's say you get a game. The game will be functioning properly, but it could allow a criminal access to your camera at all times, right? So it's really dangerous, and you would not even know. So it's really important that the youth start self-educating and being aware of these things, because it really shocks me that a lot of people don't know that this is a possibility, or they assume that everything is safe and everything is, we're living in a world of rainbows and butterflies. So I wish people would, take more initiative to really educate themselves and to be cautious online.
My goodness, I don't know what to say there. Like, especially with the whole job interview. Now, this is really, you've probably heard of. This is just a little quick tangent. Have you heard of deep fake by any chance? You've heard of
Yes.
that? Like,
Yeah, the technology.
yeah,
Yeah.
people, like, for those who aren't aware of what deep fake is you're basically plastering someone else's face on another individual. So imagine, and so that this really blurs the lines between fiction and reality. And so when you're painting that picture of someone who's maliciously using your information to craft a seemingly legitimate job offer, boy, oh boy, I don't know what to say about that. I guess it really goes to show you got to do your homework and you got to do your research to find out, does this company actually exist? Sometimes I think maybe what I think what Sameeyn is really hitting the nail on the head on is people get taken advantage of if they're in a position of desperation. If you're desperate for a job, or if you're desperate for something, then people will feed that, and they will, unfortunately, morals and ethics are out the window if they seize the opportunity. So thank you, Sameeyn. It's not a rosy picture to paint, but nonetheless, it's important to keep in mind that not everyone, stranger danger is still a thing. So thank you, Sameeyn. Well, moving on to hopefully happier times, like Kabeer. When it comes to software development, let's just say someone's watching this right now and says, man, Kabeer, I love coding too. That's just like me. That's what I want to do. I love math. I like sitting down and I love doing what I got to do. Okay, walk me through it. Like, what would it take for someone to enter into that field? Is it something that falls from the sky? You got to research. Like, what would you say? How do you enter this field of someone who wants to be inside software development?
Well, most jobs nowadays, they require a bachelor's degree in computer science or related field like math or stats. But the skills that are required, like I really learned, they're really self-taught. Like I did cloud, for example. I took a course on AWS, how to deploy web apps on cloud. So for people who are for people who are just starting out, I would definitely recommend taking the time to actually learn the up and coming new technologies. For example, cloud. Just keep practicing and getting better, because practice makes perfect, right? But the main thing is definitely do your own projects, come up with your own ideas. You don't need a degree for that, right? You can come up with your own projects. If you have the skill, build your idea to reality and deploy it and see what people think. You should really put yourself out there. I guess the main point I'm trying to make is to just get experience. You know what I mean? Like in any way, the best way is obviously doing stuff like your own personal projects, or even like internships. I really strongly recommend doing internships. First of all, they're like 4 months. There's not really a lot of time in the grand scheme of things, and you get a great experience with great companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon. All the big companies, they're hiring students for internships, and at the end of the day, you need the experience. So internships, personal projects, just push yourself out there. Go on LinkedIn, connect, talk to other software developers. It's they're really friendly people from what I've seen. So
all right,
you can
for
get
sure.
a lot of help.
It looks like this is it sounds to me like this is the common thread throughout 2020 is that you got to go after whatever it is that you want. It's like, you know what they say, fortune favors the brave, right? So fortune favors the brave. So for those of you brave enough to take on your own projects, and you're saying, you know what, no one's going to hire me, so I have to hire myself. That's essentially what it is. And you just got to go shoot for the stars and, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as always, and saying like, you know what, I'll do my best and forget the rest. Let's go back. Okay, so now we got a few more minutes left, but let's make the most of it. So Sameeyn, let's go back to cybersecurity. Let's talk about some of the resources potentially that's available out there. I'm sure a lot of people are, after hearing that, oh my gosh, that there are people actually out there that maliciously try to take my identity. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a big time 6-figure A-list celebrity in order to be targeted. It just takes somebody who overly shares on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and just shares every detail of their life, from the time they clipped their toenails to the time they visited the Bahamas, right? So, I mean, can you walk us through a couple of things, Sameeyn? Like, what are some resources out there that you could point towards to say, you know what, if for anyone who's really wanting to sink their teeth into this, what resources would you point towards to make that happen?
Yeah, for sure. So there's an abundance of resources. There are books, there's videos, there are, blogs, and there's even virtual conferences happening now. And the thing is that COVID has, a lot of these conferences are very expensive, and, you wouldn't even think twice about going to them unless your company funds you. But now, because of COVID, all of these conferences are virtual. And so we all have the ability to take part in them, and to, really listen to the advice of people who've been in this industry for years and years. So I think that's really great, and a great opportunity for people who like to attend events. What I love to do is, I'm a visual learner, so I love YouTube. A lot of so if someone is interested, in a career in cybersecurity and learning more, some of my favorite YouTube channels are freecodecamp.org. That one has all sorts of videos. It even has some software development videos. It has a full course on ethical hacking, and they'll have full day courses, which is really beneficial. My other favorite YouTube channel is Nullbyte. Also, there's a channel called Hackersploit, and if people are really concerned about their privacy and, doing a better job to protect it, there's a channel called The Hated One on YouTube, and he shares a lot of tips on how to, protect your digital footprint, to be more anonymous on the web, to protect, your data, and from third parties to continuously selling, your data online, because that's what's happening with all of our data. So those are some of the resources that I mentioned. My other thing is, before anything, like with the job offers, with downloading an app, please make sure that you go and Google it or read a little bit about it. And Google will give away a lot of things. So the scam that I talked about, the employment scam, and one of my really close friends actually had to deal with that. And she had no idea that it was even, and with COVID, a lot of people were laid off. So these criminals are really like, harboring on your emotions. They know what you're going through. So she had no idea until she Googled the company. She was ready to send in that form. She was ready for everything until it took a quick Google search to determine that this is not a legitimate business. So just be cautious, and Google is your friend sometimes, not all the time.
Transparency is the key here with Google, but thank you. So just to recap, the online events, what was the name of that? Was there like a conference, or what was it?
There are many conferences. There's like the Collision Conference, which is the biggest tech conference in the world. There is OWASP Top 10 conference, and there's a Cisco conference. There's a DevNet conference for software for developers. All of these conferences are usually paid, but because they're virtual, they're offering them for free. So yeah. And if you do a quick Google search, like free, or not even free, like cybersecurity conferences or tech conferences, a lot of these will show up. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, great. So online, you gotta, to protect yourself online, you gotta use online to find out those. So it's really cool. So YouTube channel, and you got those online conferences. Great, fantastic. You get a wealth of information there. I'm going to kick it to you, Kabeer. What do you say for someone who's wants to dive into the world of software development? What are some resources that you can point towards and say, you got to go here, or you got to do this, or you got to do that? What would you point towards?
Honestly, the thing that helped me the most, and I'm sure like if there's any software developers or software engineers or any computer science students out there, they're gonna know this is the forum to go to, Stack Overflow. So it's basically a forum for everything computer science. They have, if you type in a question on Google, Stack Overflow would probably be like your first, like the first header. So go on Stack Overflow, ask any questions you want. The people there are really friendly. They'll answer beginner questions. They'll answer like really hard expert questions. There's really a lot of help on Stack Overflow. People are really nice on there, really willing to help. I guess if you want to learn, you can go on leetcode.com, L-E-E-T. LeetCode is really good. They have two versions. They have a free version and a paid version. The paid version has like some interview prep, like some Google mock questions, some Amazon mock questions, those different, all these different companies. But the free version is really good too. You can go on there. You can basically, I forgot to say what it is. Basically, you go on there and they have problems on there that you have to solve yourself. They have from very easy questions to really complicated questions. You go on there, they give you a problem, you write in the code, you test it out, see if you're right. And if you're not, they actually have a solutions tab. You can click on the solution and they have like a very detailed report on how to go about the question in different ways, which way is the most efficient, which way is the least efficient. And there's also a discussion board on there, so you can go and everybody gives their solution out and says, oh, here, look what I found, or look, I found a different way to do this. And that's also an amazing tool that I've used throughout the years. YouTube. YouTube is another great source. Like, you can learn anything on YouTube nowadays, you know what I mean? Especially software development, software engineering. There's so many resources on those sites. So definitely YouTube things that you don't know. And if you're looking for more of like a structured course where like, okay, I do this and then this, and they give you some assignments, I would recommend edx.org. They actually give some free courses like not like university, high-rated universities like Harvard actually give a free introductory course to computer science. So it's an actual Harvard prof, and it's actually sponsored by Harvard, and it's called CS50, I believe. And they teach you, I think, Python and maybe I think the language C. So you could enroll in that class for free. There's no charge, and you watch the lectures, you answer some questions, and I believe they also give you some assignments that you can also attempt. And yeah, another great resource actually is hackathons. Hackathons are a great way to meet new people. And for those of you wondering what a hackathon is, it's actually like a conference kind of thing where everyone goes and they try to like hack into something or just build something. It's kind of like a competition where you get into groups and you have to like build something or hack into something or come up with a solution. And those hackathons are really like beginner friendly. Like, they usually don't require any experience at all. So you can go, you can talk to people, you can try their problems, and usually there's like prizes at the end for like the #1 place. I think Google actually had one. Sameeyn actually told me about it, and I think first place got like $14,000. Like whoever got like the most efficient algorithm or hacked in the quickest, they won like the 14,000. So yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. You just got to find the right one for you, and you got to kind of use them all in combination to get what you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Maybe one little disclaimer here. When we're talking about hackathons, we're talking about like the good hackers, I suppose. We're not talking about the ones that
Yeah.
just prying into those pirates and those like what Sameeyn, like we're the people that Sameeyn is combating, right? We're not going after. All right, so just to make that distinction, same name, hackathon, but doesn't mean you're gonna go the other way into the cybersecurity. But mashallah, good picture. Lots of resources out there. The internet is a wealth of information. It's all about how you use it. So with that, I mean, time is almost running out, but I do want to leave it to you both to give some parting words of wisdom. So Kabeer, I want to start with you. If you could give one word, let's say there's a brother who's watching this and he's like, you know what, man, Kabeer, you really inspired me. This sounds really good. I mean, I got to tell you, the world of software development, the sky's the limit. So talk to me, man. What advice would you give if you knew then what you know now? What would be that tip or gem of wisdom that you would pass on for someone in the software development field?
For sure, I would definitely say make sure it's right for you. I know I haven't hammered this point earlier, but you got to make sure that you're passionate about it, and it takes a lot of commitment to do the work. So make sure you find your passion, and like good things will follow. Another thing is get a lot of experience while you can. While you're young, you can move around jobs. You can talk to people. You can like network with people. There's so many people like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. There's all these different resources to talk to people, to get to know them. There's so many times I just message random people and I'm like, hey man, I saw your video. It was really interesting. I'd love to talk more about it. And we'd like you connect with me on LinkedIn and we get the ball rolling like that. Another thing is you should also computer science in general and even software development is very broad. Like every industry needs some kind of software development, software engineering. So you can literally get into any industry that you please. Like there's a need for it in every industry. So you can find your passion like that. Like that you can use it for good in the world, for like I don't know, changing the environment, like climate change, machine learning. There's so many different things that you can different places you can work and people you can encounter. So I definitely say like look into like where you want to work as well. And internships are a great way to find out how a company like rolls, how the work environment is, and how everything kind of like goes on in the company. So it's a good like tester kind of to get an internship at a place. And like I said before, everywhere is hiring interns. So
Mashallah.
that's
So I really appreciate that. So software development isn't for everyone, but if it is, then you can really make some bank, right? Like everybody needs one at some point in their life, and no matter what industry you're in. So make sure you truly enjoy what you're doing and really have a knack for it, and good things will follow. Great. And now we'll end it off with Sameeyn. Sister Sameeyn, there's a sister watching this, girl power and all that. Like you said in the beginning, if this is a male-dominated field, how do we tip the scales? How do we get some more sisters involved, not shying away from this equal opportunity? What advice would you have for a sister who's watching this and saying, Sameeyn, you go, sister Sameeyn. Let's see. I mean, cybersecurity is something out there. It's pressing. It applies to everybody, men and women, all. So everybody. So what advice would you give? What parting gem of wisdom would you give to a sister who's looking into considering the field of cybersecurity?
I would say not to be intimidated by the ratio of male to female in the industry, and not to be intimidated during, like if you do take this path, it will be hard because I didn't study in undergrad, but Kabeer did, and there's a lot of, guys in these classes, in these undergrad classes, and it's hard. It feels lonely out there, like it's hard to make friends, and it just feels. But just remember that to persevere and to keep going. You got this, and just to remember that hackers, I'm talking about the bad guys. They are so focused and determined that they will, if they want to hack into something, they will hack into it. it doesn't matter if it's Microsoft or the FBI, if they want to hack into something, they will hack into it. And I think that's one good trait that we can take from them, is to have grit. And to really persevere and to not give up so easily. It's definitely, the material can be overwhelming at times, but if we just keep at it and we keep persistent and we pray, we got this. So that's my advice.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sister Sameeyn. I know there was one little question that popped up about certifications. Do you want to make a quick comment on that? Are there online courses? I believe Sister Sameeyn mentioned it earlier about there's online, YouTube channels and things of that nature to educate yourself. Is there one quick certificate? You mentioned you had 2 certificates.
Yeah.
What would you say are?
So there's many institutions. If you want a career in cybersecurity, it depends on where you are with what level you're at. For me, it was important to get the certifications because I didn't do my undergrad. For somebody who is doing an undergrad in computer science or a related field, it will be much easier for them to get like an internship or enter into the field through a co-op, and then you can do that later. But if you don't have that, then the top certification for cybersecurity right now is the CISSP. That is the most valuable certification. And if you're not sure exactly which field you want to go into, I would say to start there. These certifications can be expensive. Each certification costs around $1,000 to $2,000. So I would be, I would be aware of that and research a little bit. And then if that's the direction to go in, to pursue it without any fears.
Wonderful. So you got to invest in it, right? So perfect. And about contacting Brother Kabeer and Sister Sameeyn, what's the best way to reach you both? Let's say Sister Sameeyn, what's the best way to reach you? And Brother Kabeer, what's the best way to reach you?
For me, it's probably going to be my LinkedIn.
Okay. And Brother Kabeer, if anything else, so Brother Kabeer as well, you can find him on LinkedIn as well. So with that, having said that, Brother Kabeer and Sister Sameeyn, thank you both so much for your time. Really, really appreciate you sharing your expertise and knowledge on this very crucial topic. It's like I always say, sometimes the topics we don't talk about enough are the ones that we need to talk about the most. So cybersecurity is all on the back of people's minds. We use the technology every day. It's important that we stay safe. And not only that, for those who are using apps, these days, why not you be the one to create it as opposed to just constantly consume it? So thank you both. I'm going to take it to the viewers, Muslim Network TV. For those of you, Jazakumullah khairan for everybody here. Really appreciate you stopping by. This is Brother Muhammad Maxwell Hassan. And as always, just to keep in mind, one little thing to kind of put this all in one neat bow is that you can protect. You can do as much protection as you can for yourself with cybersecurity, or, you can go the distance, but always remember that everything is according to the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter how many times, no matter how much you try to, do certain things, or no matter how many times people try to aim the other way, nothing is unknown to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as long as we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as our protector, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us, what does it matter if whoever is against us, right? So we protect ourselves, we make sure that we're in good shape, we protect our identity, we do no harm, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the best in here and the hereafter. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. This is your host, Brother Muhammad Maxwell Hassan. Thank you so much for tuning in on Canada Today Youth Edition. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay proud to be Muslims. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.